It's you! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Pisces February 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And if you might be interested to see what's involved in having a personal one-on-one clairvoyant experience with me, just check out the information that's in the description below. And you can do that from anywhere in the world. Now, but have a look at the website anyway, because I've put on there things which I've produced which deal with clairvoyance and with astrology, and I think that you might, which is a corollary in a sense of clairvoyance, and at least the way I deal with astrology. And the information, I think, is something that you'll find interesting and entertaining. So, as the subscribers know, and great subscribers, always great to see you. There are no video advertisements breaking into this content, so you get to enjoy the experience of the reading uninterrupted. But what we also know is that we only need to take 5 cards, don't we? Because 5 is all we need, as they speak volumes to us. And certainly, I always have a lot to say. There is the Herald of Wands. This is the 3 of Pentacles. That's a good card always. Well, look, when I say that, it depends where they sit and what they're interacting with. But there's the 7 of Pentacles. Now, there's a thing which is called, I think, King of Swords. What might be in here? And you look like you've got my friend's name on it here. Death. Well, what a stark-looking death card that is. Well, why don't you, as is our usual practice, come, sit down here now, next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Now, there's a major arcana down here for you, Pisces, and it's death. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Now, death does not mean physical death. And anyway, despite physical death, I'm here to tell you that what is alive cannot die, which means you cannot die. Now, obviously your body does, but you do not. And that is the same of plants and animals and everything else. It is alive within the mind of God. Now, this doesn't mean physical death, but it does point to a radical external transformation. Now, old relationships are demanding to be disintegrated, and this is probably the time of the year when this is liable to happen for you. The process may be bound together with, well, with painful experiences. Look, sometimes, like saying goodbye is hard to do, isn't it? However, because you have drawn this card here and drawn it diagonally opposite this Herald of Wands, and on the same line as the King of Swords, horizontally, you are in the position that it indicates that you are ready to do this. The act of letting go, difficult as it may be, is actually going to set you free. It's going to liberate you. Death, in a way, shows 2 faces, doesn't it? One destroying and tearing down, the other freeing you from old bonds which have become confining, preventing life. Now, which of these aspects will predominate really depends on your attitude, and any desire to hold on or cling to old bonds. Look, it's going to cause their death to appear that much more agonizing. Let yourself fall. Allow it to happen. When you have renounced your supports, even the earth under your feet, so that you will listen to the guide in your heart, then all is one. There is no more to fear, no more danger when you let go. Now, the skeleton is coming in here on his white horse. That horse comes for all of us at one time or another. But I think what this card is saying to you, though, is, and what is going to happen, is that something in your life is dying, dissolving, or disintegrating, whether it be a structure you have created, a pattern, a habit, or a way of thinking about yourself and the world. This is necessary for new beginnings and transformation in your life. Now, a period of great transformation can result in you facing your darkest fears, but remember that the darkest hour is just before the dawn. And do not be afraid of darkness. You've seen it before, haven't you? Embrace it and let the light within you shutter it off into the shadows in the corners. And in order to grow and abandon the old, death really is your protection against stagnation. You are forced to leave behind what you have outgrown. It's a time of cutting through to the core, of getting rid of the old so that the sunlight can come in and allow new things to grow. Now, you are now ready to make the necessary changes in your life, I think. Accept the pain that may come with the loss of the old. To what outdated relationships or situations are you clinging? Die before you die. Do you know, that's a traditional Sufi saying. Sufism is the mystical, I suppose, arm of Islam. And it says that as long as any fear of death or letting go completely remains, you can't live life fully. All clinging, every no, prevents you from being in the natural flow of life. But I think that you understand that instinctively, don't you? Because you have a great intuition and instinct. Say this to yourself: I let go of people and situations with ease and dignity. Every ending heralds the new beginning. I now say yes to death and yes to myself. Well, because we looked at that other end of that diagonal, why don't we go to it and see what it has to say to you? Then this has got something to talk about. This isn't, anyway, well, obviously it's got something to talk about, but what's this going to tell you about what's going on in your life? This is the Herald of Pentacles. Well, she holds tightly the light so that everybody can see. Now, I think that Leo, Virgo, and Cancer are going to be important to you at this time. You really, I am getting the sense, this is interesting, I call her the Princess of the Shining Flame, incidentally, the Rose of the Palace of Fire. And she is telling me that you are likely to be very, you're going to have a passion to consume everything of whatever kind during this period. You may almost be entirely reckless in the means of obtaining gratification. And in some respects, I think, you are going to be insatiable. You will be energetic, individualistic, brilliant and daring is what I see, and expressive in love, but also expressive in anger, I have to tell you. But certainly there's going to be great enthusiasm for you here. Now, your character will be extremely individual. You will create your own beauty by your essential vigor and energy. You are going to bedazzle other people. Now, in anger or in love, I think you will be sudden, violent, and implacable and insatiable. You'll be ambitious, and you may sometimes be sort of irrationally enthusiastic for people or projects. And I don't think you're not going to forget a wrong that someone has done to you. You may not be all that patient during this period either. But there is one patience that you will show, and I think the only patience to be found in you will be the patience with which you lie in ambush, ready to spring your revenge. Well, I give you the bad as well as the good. Well, it's not bad. It's just don't do anything that's unlawful, you know. Now, I think you will, as I say, be confident and daring, exciting. I think something of a nonconformist, really quite freedom-loving, and there's an ambition which is dripping from you. But people are going to love your character and energy. As I say, you're going to bedazzle them. And I think that this also says to me that you are going to conquer your old fears and patterns of thought. You're going through the process of bringing them to the surface, and you will conquer them. Although I think it has to be said, is it not the case that you have often learned your lessons the hard way? Nevertheless, your old... excuse me while I bash myself in the head with that thing there. That, what do you call these things? Cameras or whatever. Your old... I've just lost my train of thought now. What's she saying? She's saying that your old fears have lost their power over you. Their dead remains cannot frighten you any longer. So reflect now on your greatest strengths. What is the next step in your life? Find it fearlessly. Learn about ways of transforming fearful feelings, you know. And say to yourself, look, sit down. You do have a number of strengths. So say to you, pick out your greatest strength and say, my greatest strength is... And also say this, as I accept my fear, it is transformed into love. Now, the card that I said wanted to talk about something was this one. And it is this Seven of Pentacles. Now, sitting where it is, the astrology is, why does it have something? Well, the astrology is Saturn in the third decan of Taurus, the 11th to the 20th of May. Now, Saturn is the great malefic of the zodiac. Look, I don't think it's got all that many things wrong with it. Mars, of course, is the lesser malefic, which means bad type of planet. The benefic planets, or the good planets, are Jupiter, and the lesser one is Venus. But here we have Saturn in Taurus. Well, Saturn is slow-moving and restricting, and Taurus is a plodding, fixed earth sign. And together, they can give you a sense of stagnation. Now, I don't think that there's going to be stagnation for you at this time. I think that what this is doing is it wants you to recall things that have happened to... It's talking about things where you've had thoughts that have come up in the past, where you've felt a degree of restriction or resignation, where there's a hesitation, where obstacles seem apparently insurmountable to you, or that there is a fear of falling or a fear of failing, and your ability to deal with things has been blocked by dire and fearful expectations. But I think what this energy is doing is it's coming here as a reminder to you, should things occur, that sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. Now, there's a good chance that that all you've ever been told or made to feel in your life so far is that you can't do anything. That every time you even dared to dream that your life could be better, you were shot down or laughed at, made to feel small, made to feel useless, made to feel like an idiot for even thinking that you could be more. Now all of us, just as we thought something was in reach, have had a massive shadow of doubt thrown on us, normally by somebody close to us. It hurts, doesn't it? And then you've thought of the pain to get what you want, and your brain avoids it. Well, this is also saying that do not fear difficult periods in your life which relate to material fears. Sometimes, look, it also is the case that sometimes we can put everything into something and get no result. And then we just stop trying. And the energy is just sitting there in your life. Have you felt that in the past? Now Saturn also partly gives rise to fear. And fear is a big factor in failure and delaying in recovery from it. I think that what I do think though, this is saying to you for now, is that if you've been trying with something in a relationship setting and you haven't been getting back what you need to get back, now that's not just in romance, but it could be some other situation, it could be in a social situation, it could be in a business situation, it could be work. Look, it's with some other person. Then now might be the time to cut your losses and pull the pin on it. Your ability to deal with things can be blocked by heavy and fearful expectations at times. But you should not have fearful expectations because you are always looked after. You should now look at the content and quality of those expectations carefully and really ask yourself, what areas of your life worry you the most? Never fear failing or falling. Don't be afraid of that. Even if you do, look, we all have failures at things. Things don't always work out. But the acceptance of our failures is in reality the acceptance of our Creator's perfection. One of our biggest mistakes is to ignore what happens within us. There is no shame in letting your Creator know that you are falling and that you need Him to pick you up. The fall of the ego becomes the rise of the soul. Your soul wants to meet you. It wants to breathe. It wants to speak. It wants to see with the clarity of the eyes of your heart. These eyes of the heart are the eyes bestowed directly upon you by your Creator to witness Him and His pleasure. The friends of the divine are not in search of their own eyes. They are in search of His eyes and have the mental ability and conviction to say that I have the courage to believe that all that happens in my life serves for the best. I am willing to release all that is not serving me in my life. But then look what's over here touching it. It is the Three of Pentacles. And all time and space stands still before God. Now, because of where it's placed, it's Mars in the second decan of Capricorn, that 3rd to the 12th of January. Well, Mars, of course, is about energy, assertion, vitality. That's in its good aspect, and it is in a good aspect here. And Capricorn, well, that, as you would probably guess, deals with ambition, practicality, and making things tangible. Now, the good thing is that Mars is also exalted in Capricorn, and so the energy of Mars here is very constructive in this scenario in Capricorn, rather than its often destructive self. I'll also say that Capricorn's, well, materialism benefits from the energy and activity of Mars, so this energy here signifies to you that investing time and effort in work, however broadly you want to define that, is going to turn out favorably for you. Now, there's going to be a new opportunity in relation to your external world, which is opening up here for you. You are going to have satisfaction with respect to your career, and you're going to be doing a good job. Now, I see there's continued progression, which is happening here, and productivity. And there's also a sense here of teamwork, because I can see you consulting with others and getting outside help even to do with here. Now, the three here, and there's like 1, 2, 3 of these spirally things, I think that they relate to the three gunas in Hinduism, symbolizing balance and harmony. There is going to be reward for your hard work and dedication. Your skills and knowledge will move you forward, and there are good outcomes for career, business projects, and practical matters in general. Do you know, your life is going to be in balance, and you are going to reap the rewards of a balanced life. You know, you are going to have the ability to stick with things and overcome obstacles, and hoist your sails now and let the wind fill them, because it's blue skies ahead for you. Look, I think there is some situation around you that is demanding your readiness to work steadily. So engage yourself totally. It's worth it. Now, what areas do you still hold yourself back? In which areas could you be giving more of your energies? Find out and remain aware of what you want to set your full energies towards achieving, and say this to yourself: I am now ready to give everything and to receive everything as well. And that leaves us finally with, I think it is finally, have we done, we did Mr. Death, we did the 7. She's telling you how great you are, and you are going to be sexy and desirable as well, I think. Isn't that a good thing? It's a short life, so enjoy yourself. Now, the King of Swords, well, I think under his firm stare, lesser men flee in fear. I'm getting Gemini and Taurus around here for you. He's the Lord of winds and breezes. Why am I getting Gemini and Taurus around here? I think it's because you are going to have the energy of the mind in Gemini. You see, Gemini is that mutable air sign. It's always running. It has 10 ideas running in parallel at any one time, the Gemini mind. And it's very alert and flits around. It's ruled by Mercury, that communicating planet, that ideas planet, that flighty sort of planet. But there's the energy of the mind in Gemini and Mercury, with the influence and stability of Taurus. Yeah, the Taurus energy there, of course, which is about material things and luxury and food and drink and things like this. This is saying that you are going to be very goal-oriented and you are going to be ambitious. But thanks to Gemini, you will have flexible intellectual powers, but there's a great degree of passion with you at this time. I'm not surprised that this is the case because, the fact, look, it's just a reality that people are going to find you very sexually attractive at this time, so do with that what you will. Now, you'll have a strong intellectual determination that's going to be unified with a deep emotional perceptiveness, and only goals which are emotionally charged will fire up the passion for you. But your body, intellect, and spirit, they're all in harmony, and they're all going to be flying alongside with you. You're going to be active, clever, skillful, quite fierce and courageous, but maybe sometimes not all that reflective on things. You may just like that Gemini thing, just go out and just do things. Not that there's any problem with that. You'll have fierce, delicate, courageous, but you can get, there's the possibility here of you being consumed by, and this is actually somebody else that you might know, I think. I think you might know someone who is actually someone who represents the idea of attack, of the violent power of motion applied. He is the wind, the storm, and his moral qualities are skill, subtlety, cleverness. He's fierce, delicate, courageous, but can be altogether consumed by his current idea, which sort of comes to him by way of inspiration rather than by research or development or planning. And without really reflecting or considering whether or not it's necessarily a good idea, and then runs off with it. The person could also apply too much force to small things, which may seem petty or dominating, and that's actually a poor application of that person's mind. Now, the person can also have a lot of malice or rage or revenge with them, cruelty, often because they're very unhappy with themselves deep down. They have a lot of personal baggage that's here. And there can sometimes be a great degree of just inertia with them. But you, though, are going to have clear insight into a problem, and you'll be working quickly to set goals without letting anything get in your way. I think, nevertheless, that this is something of a restless period where you have been transitioning and trying to get somewhere else in your everyday life. Maybe even you've got travel planned. But it's time for you to listen to your head rather than your heart. Someone who's more comfortable in their head rather than in expressing feelings is what he sort of suggests to me. But he does suggest restlessness in all aspects of life. Maybe you want to break free from the workplace. You know, in relationship settings, you might actually know of someone or a couple that break up and get back together again, break up and get back together again, and keep doing this. And basically the entertainment value of it's worn off, I think, for you. But you are in a good position now to forge plans, to set goals, and to bring them into fruition. But do you know your goal? Write your goal down in one sentence specifically, and then work back on each of the small bite-sized steps that are going to take you from where you are now to where that goal is. And what happens once you achieve your goal? Imagine how you will best be able to enjoy your success. And say to yourself, I know my goal and I know what I am working towards. Each goal is just a milestone on the way to my ultimate destination. Well, what a really great set of cards for you. Good job. Gee, that was very, very interesting, I thought. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed providing it to you. And some great things happening for you this month, some great things. And don't you deserve it? Now, of course, until I see you again, remember one thing and one thing only, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.